Hello, a very good morning to all of you. First of all, let me thank you for joining our part 1 of our two-part webinar series of top underrated Active Directory management features of ADManager Plus. Before I begin with the session, may I please get a confirmation from you regarding the status of the audio and video? Please make use of the chat console and let me know if you can hear me fine, if you can see the screen properly. Great, thank you so much. So, yes, great. Yeah, so let me quickly proceed with the session. Once again, allow me to thank you for taking your time out and joining us today. So the objective of our webinar is to throw light on some of the lesser known features of ADManager Plus. Let's say you've been using ADManager Plus for a while, or you might be a new user. This webinar aims to get you acquainted with some of the features that aren't very obvious. So let's say you're using ADManager Plus for just user provisioning, or just for group management, or maybe just a few select features that you've been going back to, but you've not been really making use of the rest of the features that we have. Or if you're not aware of those features, then this particular webinar might help you. It will show you all the features that we have. So that is why we have divided into a two-part series. So we'll be covering some important topics today, and then we'll be seeing the rest of the topics tomorrow as well. So we have divided the webinar into a two-part series so that you get a complete idea of some of the features that aren't very obvious to you. So without any delay, let's get started. So this is the agenda. You might have already seen the agenda in the page that when you registered for it. So to begin with, so this is the logins. So I've already logged in with the product. So if you have a test installation online, please go ahead and use that. So this is a feature specific webinar. So it would be great if you can try these features as we go about the session. If you do not want to use your installation, you can go ahead and use the demo version. So I will be sharing the URL in the chat window. So the URL is https //admanagerplus.com. Yes, so I have sent the URL. You can make use of this URL as well. So any time of the day, this will be available. So if, let's say, you want to try out some of the features before actually replicating them on your environment, you can go ahead and use this, right? So to begin with, we will be talking about how you can get real-time email and SMS alerts every time a management action is performed in the tool. So an AD environment goes through a number of changes at any point in a day. So when you have multiple AD administrators, all the stakeholders need to be notified when an AD related task is carried out. Now let's take a scenario where an organization hires employees on regular basis. So it can get complicated to keep track of the users created, let's say, at a single region, let alone the entire organization. So if you're operating across multiple regions and you want to keep track of the users that have been created, then the best way is to get email or SMS notifications, or both. So we have an option to configure that right here. So as you can see, this is the dashboard, and on the top you have the home, the AD management, AD reports, Office 365, AD delegation, workflow, automation, admin, and support. So these are the tabs that are available. Now the AD management will have all the management actions for users, groups, computers, contacts, GPOs, file server management listed under those. Now AD reports will have around more than 150 plus predefined reports, plus the option to create your own custom reports under these. And Office 365, so we have moved all the operations under AD management. So we had few AD management, Office 365 management operations, and then some of them under AD reports, some of the reports. So we have moved it completely to Office 365 tab right here. So you can click this tab and make use of the AD management action, Office 365 management action and reporting actions right there. And then the AD delegation and workflow, where you can delegate certain tasks to the to your IT technicians, and workflow where you have a multi approval workflow setup where you can ensure that every task that is executed is being accounted for and they are all approved and reviewed before being executed. And then the automation tab, where you have a list of actions, pre-built routines that you can automate, like deprovisioning, group memberships management and all that. So coming to the first use case, so it is right here under admin tab. So if you click on that, you have an option on the LHS right here called as the notification profile. So I click that. Now what you can see is there are two predefined options already. So one is for user creation and one is for password reset. So I'm going to show how you can go ahead and create a new profile. So I click on create new profile. So you can enter the profile name. So let's say for user creation, I want to, for this particular region, for US region, if I want to go ahead and set a notification, I can go ahead and do that. So I can enter a description as well, which will, which makes it easier. Let's say multiple administrators are managing your environment, then you can set a description. Now this is how this works. So you have a bunch of options right here that you can choose from. So let's say I click on action. So what we're going to do is we are going to set a notification profile for user creation. So I set action is, you have an option is not. So in this case it's is. So I'm going to select a bunch of action right here. So let's say users are created, single user, bulk user, whatever is the case. I'm going to click on those particular checkboxes right here and I click select, and you can go ahead and set multiple conditions right here. So to how do I go about doing that? I just click on the plus icon right here and I set the condition as and let's say I want to get notified when a user or when users are created in a particular domain. So I'm choosing the domain from right here, and let's say the organizations are spread, the organization as such is spread across different regions, and you want to notify them based on, right, and you want to notify, let's say you have categorized the organization and for different regions and for different OU. So the OU is representing the region in your organization. So I want to know the users who are created in my particular domain, in my particular region. So you can go ahead and choose your container, right? So let's say if you have an OU specific for employees in US or employees in UK, you can go ahead and select the container right from the OU tree right here. And so you can go ahead and set that. So these are the conditions. So what this particular action would do is, first it would check what is the action, which is create a user, single user or bulk user, and it will check whether the domain is the one that we've specified, and also you can go ahead and set a container. So I'm going to choose a random container here. So just users here. And so if it satisfies all this, then you would get a notification. So right here you have an option called notification template. And this is where you can set the content for the email and SMS notification. So right next to it, you have the pencil icon. I click on that and you can see that we already have a notification template for user creation, right? So this is the email notification. So you can go ahead and create a new template by using this option right here. And you can also modify this one to suit your purpose. So here you can specify what is the name for that particular notification. Let's say you're receiving this particular notification via email, then what would be the name, right? And what is the module that it belongs to? So it's a management action. I'm going to set it to management. What is the description? And here you can configure whether you wanted to send it via email, via SMS, or both. So you can have a customized content for email and SMS. So by SMS, you would like to keep it really short. So you can go ahead and specify a different content for SMS as well. So you can send the notification to, and you can mention the administrators right here, the email addresses, CC them, and what should be the email subject be that you can specify right here. And you can go ahead and customize the content. So this is where you can add macros. Let's say you want to identify, you want to get information of the user accounts that have been created in a particular domain. So you can go ahead and enter that macro right here, or a particular, you want to know the username, then you can go ahead and click that. So that will be brought here. So you can just go ahead and add these macros wherever you want to place them. So you can see that the user account have been created successfully for your new employees by this particular technician on this particular time. So the timestamp as well will be displayed. So you have an option of sending this as an attachment in any of these formats, PDF, Excel, or HTML, and you click save. Similarly for SMS also, you can just go ahead and modify you can go ahead and modify the content right here. So you have an option of creating new template, or you have an option of editing this as well, right? So if you want a common template for both, then you can just go ahead and set this. So you can enter the mobile number and the username, and you can also send this to the user with the relevant details such as the username and password, so he can immediately log into the account and get started. So that is one use case. So if you have not been using this particular feature right here, please go ahead and do so, because it's really useful if you want to get notified about any management action. So what we saw right here was for user creation. So similarly, there are a bunch of actions to choose from. So let's say you're modifying a single user, or you're resetting a password, or you are modifying your mailbox, you're managing licenses. Every single action can be tracked using the email and SMS notification, right? So that is one use case. So the next topic is when user accounts are deleted in AD, most administrators export these users exchange mailboxes and then save them in a specified location. Why? Well, it's important to store the mailbox information of the users who have left the organization for a number of reasons, including, let's say, auditing and compliance. So how do you go about doing that automatically? So when you're initiating a deprovisioning process using the delete and disable policy. So once again, I'm going to the admin tab, and right here you have an option called delete and disable policy. So what this policy does is, let's say you have configured this delete and disable policy, and when you're initiating a disable or a delete action for a user account or for a bunch of user accounts, so whatever that you've configured here will take place, right? Let's say we are talking about just delete policy right now. So I have configured to delete remote home folders. I want that particular user account's roaming profiles to be deleted. I want the O365 account to be deleted. So what happens is every time every time a user account deletion is being initiated, the tool will automatically check for all these attributes right here, and whatever we have configured right here, whatever the administrator has configured, that will take into effect. So let's say he has configured these, the ones that I've selected. So all these actions will take place. Let's say deleting roaming profile, deleting Office 365 account, and all these particular user actions that you've specified here will take into effect first before the user account is being deleted, and then only the user account gets deleted. So I was talking about exporting user mailbox. So right here you have an option called export user mailbox. So when you click that, you have an option of giving the specified location where you want to save them. So using this particular option, you can export Outlook folders, including users inbox, sent mail, calendar, appointments, tasks, notes, etc. as PSD files. So this feature lets you to automatically export Exchange mailboxes once they're created using this policy. You can also specify the location where you want the exported mailboxes to be stored. And once you have initiated this process, You can track the status of the export mailbox operations through the audit report. And the best part is your user account that you have set for deletion will be deleted only if the export is successful. So I have got a question. Will these notifications be used if the new users are created outside ADManager Plus? No, whatever actions that you're performing within the tool using ADManager Plus, let's say you're creating a user or you're modifying a user or you are resetting a password for a user using ADManager Plus, only then this particular notification profile will take into effect. I hope that answered your question. Right. So that is one option, right? So that's how you can go ahead and do that. So you can set the location here and you can keep track. Let's say if it fails or if it doesn't, if does not happen because of some reason, then you can go ahead and check why, and you can also troubleshoot it. So you can find the status of this export mailbox action if you've initiated you in the admin report, right? So that the third use case that we're going to talk about is, let's say there's a site in your organization which is undergoing brute force attack. So if you do not act on time, the process, debugging the process and finding out the root cause is going to be painful. So in order to handle that in a very simple manner, what we're going to do is we're going to use AD reports, the reporting capability of ADManager Plus. And what we are going to do is we are going to perform management actions from the report, right? So what you can do right here is you go to AD report section, and right here under user reports, you have an option called all users, right? So you can choose the domain. If you've configured multiple domains here, you can go ahead and just enable the checkboxes. So and also the next step that you can do is, so like I mentioned, if you have different OUs representing different regions in your organization, you can go ahead and choose the OU from the add OU section right here. So this will bring up the OU tree in your domain. And let's say you've detected a brute force attack in, let's say, an organization in a particular region, say North America or South America, go ahead and click that particular OU which has all the user accounts, all the Active Directory accounts for that particular region, and you can click on generate. So this will list all the users in that particular OU. And how do you enforce a reset password for all the users? What you do is, once you've got the report, on the top you have an option of selecting all. So I have just selected all the users, and right here you have an option called more actions. So once you click that, this will list some management actions. So right here is the reset password, the first option. I go ahead and select that and click O. Right? So here the administrator can give a password which is, suitable, let's say a very robust password. So which is abiding by the domain policy standards, password policy standards. So you can go ahead and just give a password right here and ensure that all these users use its passwords are reset, and this particular password, that the one that he's specifying here, will take into effect. So in case you want to enforce an immediate password change for a specific OU, this is how you go about doing that, right? So right here you have more options called password options, where user must change password at the next logon. So you want to ensure that once the user logs in, then immediately is prompted to change a password, right? So you go ahead and click yes, right? So that is one option he can make use of. And once all of that is done, if you've chosen a really strong password and you have ensured that the user must change password at the next logon, then you just click all and hit apply. So what happens is, you would be getting a list of users for a specific region, and you would be able to change their password in a jiffy. Like, it'll just take few seconds for you to enter a good password and then apply this across all the users, right? So that is another use case. I'm sorry if some of you are experiencing delay with the screen, but at my end it looks fine, so I'm not able to identify if there's any delay at your end. So if you do find, if you're experiencing some difficulty with the network, please let us know. So what we would do is we would send a recording of this particular session and tomorrow's session. In case you're experiencing difficulty tomorrow as well, we would be sending them out to you, to your email address, so you can view this video later, right, in case you're experiencing any trouble with the tool. um, yes, I can see some of you have said that you're experiencing delay with the screen. I will take this up with the team right here, and then we will ensure that this doesn't happen in tomorrow's session. But either way, and we would like to let you know that these videos are being recorded and we will be sending it to you once they're processed, right? So moving on to the next session, next use case. So to improve organizing environments protection against internal and external threats to accounts, to user accounts, we have an option called privileged access management. So we, with PAM, what we can do is we can set a time limit on the access or the group memberships that a user is allowed to have. So in other words, what you can do is you can add user to a group that will be active for a limited time only. So this comes in handy in situations when you need to grant access to your AD environment to a third party or a help desk personnel who are troubleshooting problems, and but you do not need elevated permissions on a permanent basis. So it's only logical to limit the time that they have access to, rather than to do a manual cleanup after they're done, which is kind of doomed to be forgotten. So we'll see how you can go ahead and configure that. So you can find that under the automation section. Click on automation, and right here you have two options. One is the automation and the automation policy. So we're clicking on the automation policy and we are creating a new automation policy, right? So you set group memberships for just 1 week, right? So you name the automation policy and you choose the category as user, because we are modifying the group memberships of the user. So under instant tasks, I'm going to choose add to group. So I can go ahead and click on this plus icon, and this will list, let's say I want to give certain contract employees or a temporary employees access to certain groups alone. So I'm just randomly selecting few groups, right? And right here you can click on add successive tasks. So I click that and I want to give permission just for 1 week. You can set permission for days as well as for hours. So you can go ahead and set permission for, like, after 7 days I want to revoke these users group membership. So I can choose that and I can click on this particular icon, drop down list, and this will list remove from group. So either you can clear all existing group memberships, which is much easier, but if you want to select which all group memberships that you want to remove, then you click on the plus icon and then just select the groups that you want the user to not be a part of, right? So once the action that particular is supposed to do is done, then you go ahead and add to group and then remove from group, right? So this is before the action is done, right? And then after 7 days you revoke access. So this is much easier if you've added users to certain groups and you do not remove them. So this could lead to users unauthorized access to certain groups and maybe tampering with your permissions, your resources. That could be a serious threat if it's not handled. So this way you can ensure that there are no internal threats to certain privileged accounts or privileged file servers. So this will take care of that, right? So this is an automated way. After 7 days, the tool will automatically remove the users from those groups, right? So that is one use case. Now coming to AD reports. Now predefined reports are great. So it gives you a ready-made option that requires absolutely no scripting, right? So you can go ahead and make use of all these reports right here. You can just go ahead and generate them and the latest information will get displayed. You can schedule those reports, you can export those reports, you can play around, you can go ahead and choose. But uh, let's say as an administrator, you need specific information and somehow you do not find that in the predefined reports. So it falls short. So when one size fits all is simply isn't enough, that's when custom reports can help you a great deal. So you have an option called custom reports right here on the bottom. Click that, right? So you have a certain predefined custom reports that we've created. So you'll get an idea on how you can go ahead and make use of it. Now I want to create a report having a list of user accounts that were created, let's say 30 days ago, but they have never logged in. So how do I go about doing that? Click on create new custom report. And I'm going to enter a report name. So users created 30 days back, but never logged in. So you can go ahead and set a report name, a description, what a category you want to add it to, be it user reports or group or computer or contact, or you can add a completely new category. You can just go ahead and add status of the user accounts or recently created users or users created in this particular month. So you can just go ahead and click add a new category there. Again, you can choose the domain and OU, and this is where you can set conditions, or you can just choose which particular you can set a query of your choice right over here. Now this is where I'm going to add filters. So I can click an option, and what I am going to do is I'm going to select when let's say I want to identify the users who've been created in the last 30 days. So I go ahead and select that option. So when created last 30 days, and I also want to know, I identify the users who have never logged in, right? So I click on and I choose the type. So this will ensure that the query, what it'll do is it'll identify the users who've been created in the last 30 days, and the last logon time is last 30 days. So this will ensure that you would get a completely new report. So these are basically two different reports. If you go into the predefined reports, you have a different reports for recently logged in users, and you have a different report for last logon time. So this is basically we're combining two reports, and you can go ahead and similarly refine these reports by adding new conditions here. Say you want to know from this particular domain or from this particular office, or let's say you want to know who is this particular user is reporting to which particular manager. Similarly, you can go ahead and choose your conditions right here. If not, you can also mention a query right here. If you're more comfortable with that, you can also give a query of your choice right here. You have an option of giving a custom query. And right here, you have an option called select the attributes that you wish to view in the results. So you can see some of the attributes are already selected, grayed out. So these are the default attribute values that will be displayed. Apart from that, you want other details to be displayed as well. You just select them and then you hit save, right? So you have there are more options as well. You can select your custom attributes as well if you have custom attributes configured, and you can also once you've saved it, what you can do is this particular report will be generated. So I've already created one report right here for recently created but never logged on. So you can click on that report and it'll instantly generate all the users who've been created in the last 30 days but never logged on, right? So you can go ahead and edit the report anytime that you want. You can export and you can go ahead and make these changes. So this is how you ensure that you get a very fine and a very refined report, which is not available in the predefined reports, but you can completely customize it based on your requirements. So that's how this is done, right? So this is one use case, right? And this was the last use case that we covered. So we saw how you can set email and SMS notification for every management action that you carry on, and how you can export and exchange Mailbox automatically as a PSD file during deprovisioning, and how you can perform on-the-fly management right from reports. So the use case that we saw was reset passwords. So similarly, there are a huge number of options that you can choose from. When you're generating a report, you can perform a lot of other actions as well apart from reset password, and how you can give group memberships to users for a specific time period only, and how to create custom reports to meet your requirements, right? So that is a summary of the topics today. So we'll be seeing some of other important topics as well. So that will be covered in tomorrow's session. So before I end today's session, I would like to give a little bit of information regarding our seminar in the US, which is happening on the March 26th, 27th, and the 28th in New York, Arlington, and Chicago. So if you are in the vicinity and you would like to check out our cybersecurity and hybrid identity management seminars, so we have Derek Melber and Vivin Satyan who would be taking you through how you can manage, monitor your hybrid AD environment in a better way, and also some best practices. This seminar will help you. So I'm going to send the link in the chat box right here. So this is where you can go ahead and register. Yes, so this is the link, right? And if you have any questions regarding this particular seminar, you can go ahead and contact our events team. So I'm going to mention the email address as well. So this is the events team. You can contact them. And also we have an exclusive early bird offer right now, and we would love for you if you could just make the most out of it. So if you have further questions on this, you can contact our events team right here. So with this, we'll be concluding today's session. The next webinar, where we'll be seeing about more such underrated features of ADManager Plus, will be handled tomorrow, same time. So with that, I would like to conclude today's session. And if you have any more questions, please let me know. I am sorry I was not able to take some of your questions during this session. So I will try to answer them right away, or I will get back to you via email. And when you end the session, please let us know your suggestions. So if you have any other specific features in mind that you want to cover, so let's say you have a specific requirement for any feature or any enhancement or any capability in our product, any use case, do let us know in the feedback form. So what we'll do is we will take that into account and we will implement that in our next series. So thank you so much for taking your time out today and joining us for today's session. I hope the session was useful and you might have got some information regarding the features that we probably you might have not used or you're not familiar with. So that is the objective for the underrated webinar series. So I hope this was useful to you. Once again, thank you so much and have a good day. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm glad I was able to show some of the use cases. So again, once again, if you have any such specific requirements, please let us know. Right. Thank you so much. I hope all of you will be available, present for tomorrow's session as well. And when we send a recording of these webinars, the sessions that we had today and the one tomorrow, we'll be also sending you an ebook which will have easy ways in which you can just avoid embarrassing mistakes that AD administrators tend to make because it's a very complex environment to work on. So we'll be sending you an ebook as well, and I hope that will further enhance how you can make AD Manager Plus the most out of the product, right? Thank you so much, and I wish you a great day ahead. Thank you.